What is going on, guys? Welcome into episode 50 whatever of the scope. I'm Crash and this is Buff. How you doing, man?
Good to be here. Happy Monday, everybody. Look forward to the show like all day. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
Got some good
same.
stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Seth was asking me in chat if I'm feeling good. I was allegedly going to get a tooth fixed today. I was talking to Buff just before we went live. I'm trying not to laugh because of this video that I found on Twitter. Like just before we went live, I found this on Twitter. So we're gonna talk about it in a second. It's funny. Sorry, podcast listener, you're not gonna be able to see it, but we'll try to describe it to you. It's pretty funny. Dude. So yeah, part of my molar, like a whole entire corner of my tooth just left the chat, called it a day and took off on Friday, and my dentist was closed, and I called them and they're like, oh, it'll be fine until Monday. And I was like, will it? Okay, yeah, I guess. So then they didn't have room for me today, so I gotta go tomorrow. I haven't got it fixed yet. I hate the dentist. I am dreading it. But yeah, there's like a whole chunk of my molar that's just Audi 5000. So yeah, it sucks, dude. I hate the dentist so much.
That sounds fun. Yeah, I actually haven't been to the dentist in quite a while. Last time I went, they did some cavities, and I ended up getting like they're supposed to like obviously they're drilling in, right, and they're supposed to be like rinsing you out and all that stuff, and definitely like some of the bacteria like didn't get rinsed out, and I ended up getting I never really get sick, and I got like sick as hell for a good like 5 days, just like fever, flu-ish. And so I just was like, well, hold on. I don't feel like being down for a week quite yet.
I go twice a year for the cleanings and stuff, and then sometimes they find cavities. Not very often, but oh man, and it could be a giant conspiracy because the tooth broke because it had a filling like in the center of it, so it like weakened the sides.
Oh, they get you coming back, huh? It's a big dentist conspiracy.
They put a little fucking time bomb right in my tooth, and she went off this weekend. Giant conspiracy. Dentists are out to get you. No, they're good people. Maybe. I don't know. They're trying to do good. How was your weekend, man? What's up? What's going on?
It was good. Shout out to Sono Cochilli. I'm definitely butchering that name for the super chat. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I had a good weekend. Played got some workouts in. Saturday was pretty sick. Had some buddies over. We watched the basketball games on that TV, and then we watched the Royal Rumble on that TV. Nice. So we had Super Smash going on the other TV that you can't see. So we were having a good time. It was a good Saturday, and then I of course played. We had a banging DMZ live stream Friday night. Got some really good games in yesterday too. So I had a relaxed, fun weekend. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. I was just kind of like a little wiener all weekend, complaining to my wife about my tooth and how scared I was. So like I was just a complete little whiner, all weekend. But yeah, it was pretty good. It got cold as balls here today, and like yesterday we had a front come through. So I've just been kind of sitting inside. I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 5, man. Oh, I gotta.
You have been, yeah. I've been seeing some of your Twitter clips. Pretty crazy. You
dude, I had the cigar.
Yeah. You actually, I had some people reach out to me and they're like, yeah, I've been seeing like Crash play Battlefield 5, so I downloaded it again. I was like, hell yeah.
Oh man, yeah. We should play it whenever. It still feels so good. It's like the only reason I really quit playing Battlefield 5 was because the maps and stuff got old, because they quit supporting it so they could bring out the masterpiece that is 2042, and which is totally understandable. And yeah, so I gave it a break to let the maps kind of get fresh again, and I came back to it. And it's like I never left, man. And then my wife let me get this smoke eater air purifier thing. So I could smoke a cigar in the house every once in a while. So I'll have to do an episode of the Scope, a little program, maybe checking out some cigars during the podcast. It'd be pretty sweet.
I remember, it makes me think of like back in college where I would be smoking. We had the windows, so I would be playing like some Battlefield 3 and smoking some substances. Insert thing here, and I
vitamins.
smoke those. Yeah, vitamin. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. The plant, and just play some Battlefield 3. Yeah, it's natural, and I had a good time with that. So I don't
That's
know why
awesome.
that triggered my memory there, but you did it.
Smoking and playing video games, dude. That's where it's at.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, I need to get sponsored by like some super fancy smoke eaters and cigar companies and distilleries. Like one day, that's it.
I mean,
Everybody,
we did have those crazy like marijuana ads running here for a little while.
that's as close as I'll probably ever get.
That one episode.
That's probably as close as I'll ever get. Because if everybody, like all the gamers are like trying to get G Fuel sponsorships and Scuff Gaming and all that stuff, man, just I get some bourbon and some cigars to sponsor me, we'll be doing it. Be doing it right.
The closest I got was a supplement company, which I think I'm actually still sponsored by, but
That'd be pretty awesome.
That was back in the hardcore day of the bodybuilding Instagram days.
Dude,
now
I keep laughing.
I've moved on.
I keep laughing because I have OBS in studio mode, so I see the other screen I'm about to pull up, and I keep seeing this clip.
God.
Man.
I gotta see it, man.
Are you ready for this? All right.
Mm-hmm.
So last week, if you guys don't know, we talked about YouTube and how, or week before last, we had Abel last week, which was a lot of fun. He was awesome. We'll have to have him back if he wants to.
Great show.
That was super
Loved
fun.
It.
But we talked about YouTube and how they were like demonetizing and giving creators strikes for loading a 30-round mag into a rifle or something like that, some silly stuff. Then we talked about how not safe content should be removed and safe content showing respectable use of firearms should be okay. This video, dude. All right, here you go.
Oh God.
I was just getting the channel set up and everything, so I pull it up on Twitter, and this guy is like trying to he's like trying to do like the crazy stuff where like I don't know what he's doing, like zombie apocalypse training or whatever. Dude, it's so bad. He like, oh man, it makes my voice like girl laugh. I get high because like he has the gun and he sweeps his arm with his finger on the trigger like 4 times. Then when he reloads his mag, he points the gun directly at his forehead. And then did you see that one shot just randomly up into the air for good measure? Just negligent discharge, like way up in the air. And then he drops a knife and he's just like spinning around. He's picking up mags off the ground. And like, it is the worst thing I've ever seen. And I don't know if I should laugh or cry.
I'm trying to look at that black target, our viewpoint to his back right.
Yeah.
Or our back right to see if I see like an impact mark. I can't tell if he's running blank. I really hope he's running blanks.
I hope so, man. They kind of they kind of have a smoke pattern like blanks. I can't tell for sure. But
yeah, that's a lot of smoke.
The smoke kind of poofs like blanks instead of have like when you shoot around, it kind of like billows and rolls. So I mean,
that's
dude, it's so bad. And he just the things that got me is like he has it and he's like sweeping his arm like 4 times.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then the one where he just randomly shoots into the air, and then when he's reloading, he points it right at his face. And I
like the multiple camera angles.
It's so ridiculous. And then he does over his head. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. Like this is the worst thing I've ever seen. If you guys aren't familiar with firearms, don't do remotely close to anything that this guy is doing ever.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, what you should do is there's some really good gun educational channels on YouTube. Oh wait, you can't show any educational stuff anymore. So I don't know. I guess go out to your local.
I got to get this off the screen.
Let's just not go there before we get banned.
That's right. We're probably gonna get banned at some point anyway. Yeah. It's just a matter of time. The funny part is this guy called him John Hick, and I thought that was pretty
John Hick. I love it.
But guys, kids, stay in school and don't be John Hick.
Yeah. And there's actually plenty of we gotta start plugging like safety firearms courses after that because good God.
Yeah. If you are interested in firearms and don't know where to go to your local gun range, and I'm sure you can have lessons by someone that knows what the hell's going on.
Exactly. There's a lot of courses at your local gun range you can find. As long as they're not by that guy, you'll be good to go.
If you see John Hick, turn it around, go the other way.
Get out of there. Yeah.
So dumb. So dumb. So yeah, that was funny. Totally unplanned, but I just saw that when I was getting stuff ready for the show. I don't know what that was.
That's amazing.
So anyway, I guess you want to talk about video games or the dentist.
I guess video games.
All right,
I
let's talk
suppose. I
about
suppose.
let's talk about video games. I guess.
Might as well.
So I don't know if you're up on this as much as I am. COD Season 2, they announced Resurgence today, and I just put out a video about stuff. I don't know if you had time to see it. It's okay if not. I'll still be your friend.
I did. I did watch it. Yep. I was listening to it while I was doing some work.
It was kind of crazy. So it pretty much, I mean, it 100% confirmed that leak from a couple months ago is the new Resurgence map.
Yeah. I'm curious. I think we're supposed to get the full reveal tomorrow. They said at least like the TAC map, right?
Yeah, the TAC map, and I'm afraid they're gonna show what I showed in my video today. So if you're interested in having checked that out, like I'm pretty sure like I kind of spoiled it, but it's already been talked about.
Yeah, exactly. It's been out there for a while.
But I figure we could pull it up here in a little bit and talk about it. I have the map ready to pull up in the trailer. But I feel like maybe we should back up just a little bit if we're going to go in chronological order, because the DMZ wipe, right?
Yes.
That's probably the biggest news that I knew would be related to you and your audience for sure. But did you see what they said today?
I did, yeah. And so we're going to talk about it here. I'll have a video up. I'll have a video up later tonight going more in depth to it. But yeah, I would want to talk about this with you. So why don't you open us up with that?
Yeah. So essentially, I guess let's hit DMZ first. I do have the blog pulled up, so we'll go over everything in there here in a second, kind of react to it. But the first thing was the DMZ wipe, and at first where they said, I'm so on the fence with this, and I am 100% not sold on extraction modes at this point for me in particular. I know a lot of people think it's the next big thing. I'm not 100% sure, and I feel like kind of what happened with this release kind of showed a little bit of the flaws in the game mode. But I think it can be done right, and they still might pull it off, and we can talk about how I think that should go down. But originally what they said is, well, they're going to wipe all your faction progress, so that's going to be wiped. And initially how it sounded, as reported by Charlie Intel in Modern Warzone, they did confirm that they were going to wipe the insurance slots. Well, a lot of people like Buff, who have been unlocking them and just getting close to unlocking the last one, it's like, why should I play for this last month or so?
Right.
They got a lot of blowback on that they shouldn't do the insurance slots. And today they came out and said that they are going to leave those alone. So you're going to keep those if you unlock them. They're not going to wipe that. So then I immediately, being devil's advocate, I flip to the other side and I'm like, then what are you playing for? Like next season, why do you want to do the faction missions if you're not unlocking insurance slots? They have to put something better in there for rewards. Cause I mean, where do you stand on it? That's what I
agree. Like when the news originally broke last week, I was because I had literally just unlocked my second slot there. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I got to do this all over again. Cause in that blog post, I'm sure we'll get into it. Like they said, basically like they're wiping the faction missions because they're going to make them easier because they're too hard essentially. So like those of us that grinded to get those second and third slot, it's like, oh, whoa. So it was too hard, but we put in the time to do it. So I was a little upset about that. After I sat on a couple days, I guess I can see it both ways. So after I sat on a few days, I was comfortable with it. And I said, okay, this is a beta. If they're going to wipe it and they're going to add in, if they're going to add in a lot of stuff to this in season 2 and potentially get it out of beta or at least closer to out of beta, then I'm okay with it, because that would be fresh start, new mechanics to the game. Maybe they're going to add expand upon the inventory, stashes, things like that. So it makes sense that we'd all start on a level playing field. So I was comfortable with it. And then the news today, they said they're not deleting the insured slot. So I was, I guess, happy, but also kind of indecisive because they don't really tell us anything else. And we're going to have to wait for an additional blog post this week. So really, I think I look at it two ways. Like, okay, good. But like you said, what are we playing for then? Because that's really been what I have been playing for, is those weapon slots. So new faction missions, they're going to be adding a new map. I'm sure there's going to be missions across the different maps, but you're right. I mean, there has to be something to play for because, especially at this point, going to the wipe, we know that all the faction missions are going to be wiped. So I stopped doing any missions. I'm just going in and hunting players at this point for the next 2 weeks because why would I continue to do missions that aren't going to count for anything at this point? And then I'm not going to complete a tier 5 in that amount of time because it took quite a while to get that second slot. So I guess I go both ways. Long roundabout answer there, but it really just depends on what they're going to be adding with this season 2. I think it's a good thing, but also I do want something new to play for because I do have my second slot. Getting a third slot, I can't bring in really 3 primaries unless I have a backpack, and there'd really be no point of that. So there's got to be something else to play for. I completely agree.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I get caught in the middle of it. I see both ways, and it's just like, why do you? There's always the question that pops up for me is like, why am I playing this distraction mode? Like, why am I gonna play it? Um, I, yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like on one hand, thank you for not wiping them because it was a pain in the ass to earn them. But on the next one, if you already have your 3, if you already have your 3 slots, what are you doing? Like, what are you unlocking with those? Because you're gonna get XP. XP,
Right.
I guess, which without prestige anymore, XP is not really worth like what it used to be. Like if you're trying to get your prestige up, it doesn't really change how the game plays for you. And they just, bottom line is 100%. If they're going to do it this way, that's fine. I totally get why they did it because it would be such a bummer. It's like they have to do something with rewards, and I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's weapon skins or stuff or operator skins that are super cool. I
So
think
far,
that could be
I think
done.
it can be done, but the rewards, I think so far, like there's been a lot of blueprints and even there's been a few operator skins that are cool. Really, I can say like one that's cool by doing the weapons cases. Um, in Al Mazrah, but the other like blueprints, the weapon blueprints, I don't really think there's been one weapon blueprint or any reward that I've gotten through DMZ that I've been like, wow, I'm so glad I got that. So I think the
Yeah.
rewards, they definitely got to step it up. Not just for the rewards, but like in general for the content. I mean, there really hasn't been a new store bundle in like 2 weeks either. So there's they've got to add a lot more. And it's so weird because you compare the blueprint rewards. Like, remember the challenges in Modern Warfare 2019? There was like specific challenges to do to get a lot of blueprints day one. This is before Warzone was even confirmed. This was day one of release. There was a lot of challenges to unlock blueprints. There was like 20 plus. They kept adding more. We don't have that this time around. I guess it translates into DMZ by doing different things and getting those blueprints. But those blueprints really are not appealing. They seem to be going with like the really goofy, colorful type blueprints for the weapons this time around, which you all know I love those bright purple and pink blueprints.
Yep. So no, I think I think it's totally doable though. I know I talked bad about extraction type modes, and we'll definitely talk about Tarkov here in a little bit. They made some great changes to gameplay this week. That was absolutely astonishing to me that they changed the stuff.
Yeah.
I think
I saw that.
if they keep the insurance slots and give people a reason to do those missions, I think DMZ is on the right track. Instead of insurance slots, maybe you get like a super cool operator skin or a weapon blueprint if you complete these missions. That's all I can think of right now. I mean, even maybe COD points, even some of the currency would be cool to earn for playing it like that. To get some of those other skins that you want to buy from the store. And yeah, it can be done, but they need to step it up with the like the rewards you get for the missions, making them easier. Whatever. They said in the blog post, I have it pulled up here, that the later ones will still be difficult. And that makes sense. Start out a little easier, and then for the more experienced players, when they get to the later tiers for the better rewards, hopefully, then it gets harder. So
I don't really think they've been difficult though. I don't know how far you've gotten with them, but there's really hasn't been anything difficult. It's more tedious. And I think the most annoying, I guess, hardest one for me was finding vintage wine bottles. That took me like a couple days straight till I got my 3 total, but there really hasn't been anything that's been like very, very challenging. I think there's just some tedious things for sure, but maybe they're going to rework all that.
Yep. And I mean that
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but that's part of the plus side of an extraction mode is the flexibility to play how you want. you can decide to do those missions if you want. Or you can just
Exactly.
go in and run around and kind of be dynamic with, taking missions that are in game for XP or going around and hunting other
Hmm.
players. And so, yeah, I get it. I think this is a good move. And I've said before, I did a full video on like what I think they should add to DMZ, including like attachment loot and
Hmm.
just up in the loot and adding the crafting in from the campaign. And
Right.
you've said, adding a stash with some of the equipable items like the vest and stuff
Yeah.
would be right on. So I think, yeah, I think they can figure it out. They're going to balance it. And I guess the good thing about them, either way you look at it, the good thing about them not wiping the insurance slots is at least they're listening. Because I could, the majority of people didn't want that to happen. So I mean, at least they're
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah. That's a good point. Modern Warzone and Charlie Intel, like you said at the opening here, they both said like we spoke to Activision reps and the insured slot is going to be deleted, and they said that's what they were told. And I'm not doubting that that's what they were told, and their source wasn't correct at the time. But I think that was also day 1 or 2 after the announcement, and I think every like the overwhelming negative feedback to that caused them to pivot, and that makes sense. I mean, that was a lot of hours I've put into DMZ. I think I haven't played Warzone or multiplayer in well over a month at this point. It's just been like every day, every other day of straight DMZ gameplay to get to that second slot. And that's been my goal. And I did it. So like, okay, we're wiping it,
Yeah.
that and I don't mind if they do it down the road. I think it down the road that might be fine, but the game's got to be further along. So we're gonna just have to wait and see what they do with all of this time around.
Yep, agreed. But I think they'll continue to improve on it. Sounds like they're listening. Some of the other stuff within the patch, they're working on audio. It specifically targets PC players, which is awesome because there are some issues, at least on PC, that I know of with audio issues due to discrepancy in the number of channels. So like sometimes if your PC set to stereo, it won't be stereo. Also, there's times when there's only so many tracks that can play audio. So if there's a bunch of stuff going on, you won't hear things like gunfire and footsteps and stuff like that. So they're working on that, which is definitely good. UI, I will be looking at that. I'll be waiting for that with bated breath because the UI is really bad. So hopefully they do a lot of changes to that. They don't mention exactly what they're going to do. No more challenges, battle pass, weapon progression. We all know that. Weapon balancing. Yeah, the gulag is going back to 1v1 in season
Yep.
2. So I think that's good. And players will see the return of the original Warzone overtime mechanic, the domination style flag control point. So they're putting that back. They're putting a lot of stuff back from Warzone 1. It sounds like I think the player numbers probably scared them a little bit based on what I've seen on Steam. Um, th-
Yeah.
they're changing cash. They're going to make it easier to find cash, and they're also making things cheaper, so you should be able to buy more stuff. I do like. Hopefully, they keep the balance where there's the buy stations don't have an unlimited amount of certain things. I think that's pretty cool.
I think they mentioned that they. Oh, hang on. I think they mentioned that they are going to do that. They were looking at it at least. They didn't confirm like everything will be available everywhere, but I think they mentioned that they are going to look at availability of items and buy stations.
Yep. And then they said that they are changing loot and inventory, so they're not messing with the backpack system. Everybody gets the same size backpack, which makes sense. They needed to do something there because I don't even know if you could. Maybe you could. Can you even loot a backpack off somebody if they had a bigger one? Like,
Nope.
so why have it? So,
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, in that's something they need to fix in DMZ. For Warzone, now you're starting with 3 plates. You all have the same size backpack. That's fine, I guess. Sure. I really hope, and I guess we'll find this out. I hope they don't change the game like that for DMZ. DMZ makes sense to have the different plates, have the different size backpacks, but you need to be able to loot those sized backpacks off players. I feel you can't just they have a large backpack, but I can't take their backpack. That's something that needs to change. But I hope they're able. This is what we talked about, but lead up to the launch of the game is having separate. There's the Warzone crowd, and that's a separate almost iteration of the game, and then there's the DMZ, the multiplayer. And we talked about that. Can they differentiate the mechanics in each mode? And I guess this is where we're going to find out because it sounds like what they've said they're making changes to Warzone 2 they haven't confirmed whether or not those changes are gonna go or carry into DMZ or not.
Yeah, they haven't said that, but it should give you hope that this is under the battle royale section. So what I'm reading here is under battle
Yeah.
royale. So
Yeah.
maybe, and I think that does make sense to have the backpacks and stuff like that. They need to make them lootable. This is one way to fix it with the backpack system in the BR, because if you can't loot them, either make them lootable or get rid of them. They got rid of them. I hope in DMZ they make them lootable, because that definitely makes sense to have that in there. A bunch of changes with loadouts, perk packages and stuff are going to be in your loadouts, and they'll be at buy stations and more affordable. So basically getting loadouts more common in battle royale, whatever. I don't really care too much. It makes it a little more casual, but I think that was one of the things that people really liked about Warzone 1 was being able to get your loadout. So I'm fine with it. Does that make you mad? On a scale of 9 to 10, how mad are you?
I mean, so I don't mind any of those mechanics. I loved OG Warzone, like right off the bat there, where nobody knew what they were doing, was so fun. I didn't mind any of those mechanics at all. What I didn't like was the abuse to the movement system and just the poor balance of no recoil, beamer guns that they were adding. So it's not like they're reverting back to that type of thing. So I don't mind. I a little disappointed they didn't keep the backpacks and the different tier vests though. I thought that was a good element of any battle royale. I don't personally don't understand the reasoning behind that. Which is weird. Like any battle royale, I think, PUBG, even back at Blackout, you're gonna have like inventory slots, backpacks, vests, things like that. So that's a little weird to me. But they must have some reasoning to try and simplify the game and get everyone on a level playing field is probably what that is about. But I'm not a big fan of that. But again, I'm going to be playing DMZ, so it's whatever.
Yeah, it's fine. I see it both sides of it. I kind of liked the varying vest because it should have theoretically changed gameplay, but I think as trashy as the netcode has felt to me, I haven't played it lately. It makes sense to just give everybody 3-plate vests, because sometimes the time to kill was like instant deletion with 2-plate vests. But it also was cool because it kind of changed up how you should play. Like you should, if you don't have 2-plate vests, maybe you should take it a little easier and be a little more passive and try to find one.
Right.
So I get both ways. Movement, slight increase in movement speed while plating to get cover faster. That's probably good. Buy stations, change strongholds. And then the DMZ change, the enemy tuning. It says with season 2, we've introduced a number of balancing changes to adjust the types of AI spawning, number of AI, and the accuracy of AI at range and much more. All this should provide a challenging but manageable play space that still requires player respective enemy combatants in DMZ. So me personally, I think that's good. I think they should make it a little bit more doable to be a solo player. But they should 100% have a place for really strong AI that maybe you need to get some friends or get a squad mate to go into. But if you want to just move through kind of the random POIs, like the plain towns and villages and stuff, you can do it as a solo and survive. I feel like with solo play, sometimes it's super hard to keep the AI off you. So I think this is a good change if done right.
It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible, especially if you don't have a self-res. Like you're pretty much gonna die and you run into like level 3s randomly. Have you ever like gone on foot towards a final extract because for whatever reason there's just like 10,000 level 3 AIs that for whatever reason are running around out of nowhere and just destroy you? Like you better, if you don't have a vehicle, good luck, you're not making it.
Yep. So
that's annoying.
Yeah, so I am with you. I think changing this to make it manageable for solo players, you're gonna have to play a certain way to be a solo player. I don't think you want AI to just be cheesy, but allowing a path for a solo player, I think it's a good idea.
Sam, and I think that also has to do with maybe having some sort of inventory, right? Like we talked about as far as a stash. Like, okay, maybe I can bring out like an extra plates, carriers, maybe a couple limited amount of self revives. That way, if I'm doing specifically solo and I die, I don't need to go in with nothing again and try and gear up. I can have things I can pull. That way it makes it, there's more incentive to go back in as a solo player instead of, oh, I died, I need to go in with nothing and try to find these things now
Yep.
before I can actually play again.
Yep. Samuel, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. He says he teams up with his son to play BR. He's got 3 wins. They're going for a nuke. That's awesome.
Ooh, sweet.
I'm in the final countdown to have my first child. So like in the next couple weeks, I'm having my first son, and I can't wait till he's old enough to play games. It's gonna be awesome.
So like 6 months, he'll be dropping nukes there with you.
He's soon as he can hold a mouse, he's gonna be in aim lab practicing. He's gonna have to carry dad. So gonna raise him up in the aim lab. So spawn points are good to change. I felt like it was getting a little bit predictable, kind of like Tarkov is. You know where people spawn, people can head right to you.
Yep.
And so changing that,
we've turned and shot at other players right off the bat all the time.
Yeah,
like
you start to learn that stuff, like where they're gonna be.
Those spawns, yeah, and yeah, exactly. So we do that. There's a couple spawns you can, if you know them, you can turn and get shots and snipe people right off the bat and wipe teams immediately. So that's definitely got to change.
We already talked about mission difficulty tuning, crashes. This isn't good enough, in my opinion. Infinity Ward, like the crashes suck, but you're not going to get rid of all of them. So make a reconnect feature, please. Like allow people to at least attempt to reconnect and get their stuff back, like many other games have.
Yeah, or detect like, hey, there was a crash, so we're not gonna, you're not gonna lose your stuff.
Yeah, here's your stuff back. Yeah, great idea. Let's see, locations, new exclusion zone. Players will have a third option to choose from when deploying in DMZ. Is that? I'm assuming that's the Rebirth map.
Yeah, yep, that's going to be the Rebirth map, which I'm pretty excited for, and I think that sounds like there's going to be. I mean, we'll find out this week, but I'm assuming they're going to have specific faction missions for that map, for Al Mazrah, and then for Building 21 eventually, right? To incentivize you to play the different maps. If Building 21 is on a weekend rotation, it sounds like Al Mazrah and this new Resurgence map you'll have your choice between those at any given time, which will be awesome.
Agreed. Then that normally, if you're doing a good program, that would make a great segue into talking about the Warzone 2 map. And I feel like, a lot of people would do that. But we need to talk about something that's not getting any love and is kind of sad, and that's multiplayer.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude, they said audio, which they've already talked about, perk balancing, weapon balancing. They're bringing hardcore back, and new playlist and ranked play. Like, they mentioned nothing about multiplayer content. There has to be some. Like, there's going to be some. I'm just worried, man. And I'm really sad about it because, like, I just got into multiplayer in this game with S&D and Hostage Rescue. Right. Like, and I haven't been into that in a COD in a really long time. And it's like, it's getting no love. The maps are so stale. Like, we already will back out, won't play the border crossing map with the explodey cars.
Right.
But, like, that makes it feel like there's 2 maps. I know there's not.
Right.
But, like, there's so many maps that are just sectioned off Al Mazrah. So you have that vibe, and then you have just a couple other maps that are different settings. So it just feels ultra stale. And I know multiplayer is like a place for people to level their guns. My dog's upset about it too. He's really letting him have it. Man, yeah, it's just sad to be a multiplayer fan if you are one of the multiplayer fans left, because I'm scared that it's not going to get a lot of love. And I just hope that there's new maps in new locations that are not remasters, that are not from sectioned off Al Mazrah, that are new settings and different layouts and stuff to learn. And I hope there's at least 3 of them. But and gunfight, yeah, chat, 100%. I love gunfight, but the gunfight logos and game file have been data mined from the game file, so it's allegedly coming. It's likely going to come either probably mid-season or something like that, if I had to guess. But just a tiny little blip for multiplayer, man. Like,
I think also I saw it hasn't been confirmed yet, but I see it all over Twitter. Like, the museum map is going to be released. So it's like people are saying like new maps, and it's just the same, the same one we played in the beta, which was taken out. museum map, which I didn't mind that map. I kind of enjoyed it, but it wasn't in the full release because of one of those real life areas that there was issues with for whatever reason. So, that's another thing. Like, where are the new maps? And you also look at the multiplayer maps when we're talking about. There's clearly, what's the other map that was rumored as far as like what'll be the new battle royale map, right? It's that wherever, because all the multiplayer maps take place not on Al Mazrah. There's like two or three maps that are on Al Mazrah. The other multiplayer maps are on whatever the single player settings or campaign is supposed to be taking place, mainly like the Mexico US border area. I think someone in chat can tell us. I can't remember off the top of my head because this is a few months back, but there's clearly a larger map available that will come to Warzone at some point also. But I agree, like we need new maps. They need to stop bringing back, especially they shoot the ship. I mean, there was a poll like, do you guys want shoot house, whatever, or shoot the ship? And everyone was like pumped for shoot the ship. And it's like this like that was like my least favorite playlist. Why is everyone excited this is back?
It's only because it's for people camo grinding.
It's like I don't like shoot house at all. The new shipment, I actually do like it, but it's not something I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to play shoot the ship playlist.
Yeah, I mean it just shows how Infinity Ward sees multiplayer and how almost everybody sees multiplayer. It's not to play the game, it's not to play the objective, it's not to have fun. Right. It's to level guns and grind camos. It's to level guns for the VR and to get your gold Orion whatever camos. And that's how it gets treated. So that's why everyone likes those maps, I feel like, because they can level and do camo challenges really quickly in those modes. So pretty bummed about like the state, like just where multiplayer is how it's seen by the company, by the studio is pretty sad.
Right.
But yeah, those shoot the ships, man. I don't want to play that at all. So yeah, I think that covers it. Multiplayer, I'm scared for. I'm a little bit scared for. It's essentially what I'm saying.
I think just content in general, I'm a little scared for.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess, but DMZ are getting the new map and the Rebirth coming back for the BR fans. So, I mean, that's going to be huge. A lot of people are going to play Rebirth because a lot of people played Rebirth at the end of Warzone. Me included. I enjoyed it. You can call me a little CDL wannabe if you want to, Buff. It's fine. I liked playing the glorified TDM until the end when the circle got little. It's fine. You can tell me. It's fine. It's fine. I can take it.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh man, they just need content in general. It's rough. Especially, I mean, I'm just like, there hasn't been a new store bundle in what seems like 2 to 3 weeks. So it's just like, where's the content? They pushed back the season, and there's just no content at all.
Yeah, the only thing that got content was DMZ Building 21. That was like substantial, something new, and then multiplayer got maps from 2019 and shipment from all of the Modern Warfares. That's it. Like zero new stuff for multiplayer. It's so stale.
Right. Yeah.
So today I made a short, which I'm going to show you guys on screen because it kind of illustrates what went down. Don't mind the idiot at the top of the screen. He's not important. But the last frame of the teaser today, if you overlay it with the TAC map that leaked a while back, it is the exact same. So the map that we talked about a month or so ago is 100% it. I mean, this is so what you see on the screen. Sorry, podcast listeners, still love you. Is the outline that they showed overlaid with the TAC map we saw a month or so ago, and it matches like exactly. So that's the map.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, exactly. I'm curious how accurate the POIs are going to be. I forgot who that map came from, but it looks like it's gonna be
somewhere.
Okay, I'm guessing it's probably like basically a 1-to-1. So we'll have to see. It's gonna be interesting.
So there it is for the folks that want to see it. That is the TAC map that they're probably going to show you tomorrow. If you're a fan of the program, you get to see it early. So yeah, it's a little perk you get for being here.
And it seems like that is the map you can see off the coast of Al Mazrah too. Just
Yeah.
right now, it's not like finished. It's you see like a obviously just untextured kind of castle out there. But that's I'm sure once this releases, you'll be able to see it, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, you can see it out there if you look off one of the coasts of Al Mazrah. I can't remember where it was. I made a video about it like when this first talked about and showed some pictures of it in game. So it's out there floating in the islands don't float. That's terrible. That's bad journalism. But anyway, the earth is probably flat. It's fine. But you can see
100%.
I get a Fortune's Keep vibe from this. I don't know if it's the overall shape, and Fortune's Keep had a castle in the middle and it kind of had a watery bay area on the south end. And I'm assuming, I'm kind of hopeful, like you see the water at the port and the water on the south side at the town center. I'm hoping there's some kind of tunnels underneath for some flanking and stuff. And maybe it looks like they've made a lot of spots for water combat, which, like I said today, I feel like that the water combat is like underrated. They did a lot of work on that. Like, if you're playing S&D and you kill somebody with the bomb, like the bomb floats up to the top and it floats on the waves. You can do the same with like different kinds of mines and tacticals. And then like, if you're got your pistol and you shoot underwater, like you see the little bubble trails and stuff. And like, I just think they did like a really cool job with the water combat. So I hope
I got flashed in the water the other day too. Like someone threw a flash and I think the AI maybe in DMZ and just flashed me underwater. I was just like, holy crap. Like the grenade, like the effects that things like that have underwater are really cool, especially when you can't see.
Yep. So that's the map. If you overlay what they talked about, or excuse me, that frame that they teased the outline, it also has some topographic lines in it. So you can see like how much topography and elevation change there is. And of course, it looks like the industrial ruins and the castle are going to be like really elevated, then everything kind of low around it. And then hopefully, I bet there's some tunnel systems to get into the castle. So if the circle ends there, you don't have to push up a hill to somebody in a giant fortress.
Yeah, that'd be nice, right?
Yep. And then the greenhouses were kind of a low point, and then up to the apartments was like a little bit of a higher point.
Right.
On that too. So kind of a big mountain like they seem to be doing. I don't know how much of the water on the south end and the town center like you'll be able to fight in. But
yeah, I'm curious. I really am curious to see the map, like how it is in gameplay, because I think it does remind me, like you said, of Fortune's Keep, and I personally didn't really like Fortune's Keep. I think it was like fresh for what we had at the time, which was opposed to Caldera, which was just horrible. So I think compared to that, it was like amazing, but I wasn't the biggest fan of it. So I mean, we'll see. I'm more interested in playing it obviously in DMZ. So it looks like it'll be a lot of fun for DMZ no matter what. So just a whole new map to play on a DMZ with missions and stuff would be great. So
yeah,
I'm curious comparing the content Warzone to DMZ after this and see what's what.
That's the other thing. And low key, like if this Redditor is right, apparently they have on top of needing to activate their windows, this Reddit user also said that allegedly the ground war area will be able to be played on it. So 24 versus 24 modes on that, which is pretty cool. And
that's sick.
Yeah, I think it'll be neat for DMZ. Hopefully it's like a PvP heavy map, like with a lot of players. I think it'd be pretty neat.
It seems like I'm curious what the player count will be on that, because PvP heavy. I mean, it's crazy because like I think there's only 4 or 5 teams in building 21 that spawn in. And with the amount of AI, I mean, it's just so hectic and like your heart's like typically just going. So I'm curious what the mix of the AI and players is going to look like for sure. Because when you have the more AI and the difficult AI, I think when you do get in those PvP engagements, it makes it that much more special for sure.
I think that's that. Isn't that covered all that's going on?
I think so, yeah.
I think I guess to put a bow on it is that this is going to be huge for the game, right? Like I saw so many polls at the end of Warzone 1 that the majority of people were playing Rebirth. If they get the stats working, man, like I think that's so underrated.
Yeah, I agree.
They haven't mentioned the stats at all. which is sketchy because they need to have that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how important it was because when at the end when I started getting 200, 300, like 400 rebirth wins, I was like, then I kind of would watch it. I wonder where I'm at, and like it would make me want to
Yeah.
play to get that number up. I don't know why. No one cares. But it was cool. It was cool to check that out. So I hope stats come back, and I'm a little concerned they haven't said anything because it's a bigger deal than I originally thought, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, for Rebirth, I didn't care that much about my number, but I still looked at it. But like, Battle Royale in general, specifically OG Verdansk, I remember when I hit 200, like, that win was really special to me. I got the final kill with a G30, like a crazy custom tactical G36 build. I was like number 200, awesome, like, really pumped about it, and we would keep track of it versus friends. So yeah, that's something I really hope they bring back, as well as just DMZ stats. I would like to see. I mean, when they have the exfil streaks that they added, I'd like to see what my KD is in DMZ, what my PvP engagement percentage is, as far as how many engagements we're coming out on top as a team, as an individual. All those stats, you look at Tarkov, very similar to what the stats are in Tarkov. KIAs, extracts, all that stuff, AI kills, player kills, all of that would be great to see. I think even more so than the Warzone stats, but stats overall are a must. So hopefully they add it soon. I don't know what's going on with the past year. Just like basic stat features having trouble making their way into long standing franchises, but maybe hopefully we'll get there.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird. So anyway, yeah, I think that wraps that up. We need stats. We need gunfight stat. We need lots of stats. Okay. Hashtag stat that.
Give us data.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about briefly, we've talked about this quite a bit this year, but this has actually happened tomorrow, is the Battlefield update 3.2. It's probably the biggest game-changing update to Battlefield. So I'm going to check this out for sure to see how it changes how people play. What's new in the update? There's a whole bunch of balancing things, but the main thing content-wise, classes are back. Assault Engineer, Recon, and Support, customized with class equipment, class gadgets, and weapon proficiencies. We've already covered this a couple weeks ago. Breakaway is getting fixed, and they're bringing vault weapons back. And they're adding a new suppressor and long-range scopes and thermal scopes. So thermal scopes, man, I guess I'll just talk about them now since they're right there. Dude, thermal scopes with the plus system, I feel like are really strong. Because if you commit to using a thermal scope, you're stuck with that thing, which it sucks when there's no advantage to using it usually. But where if somebody's throwing smoke to try to push an objective and you can hit T, click it, and you got the thermal scope, like, I don't know, man. Like, that's going to be pretty strong, I feel like.
Yeah, I remember the thermal and the infrared scopes in Battlefield 3 were like super. Everyone was running them for a while until they nerfed them eventually. But even then, they were super powerful. But to your point, you couldn't switch away from them. Here, if there's, like you said, if there's a disadvantage of using it, you just swap out, which, I guess we'll see. But yeah, I have seen I think the thermals and the infrared scopes, from what I've seen, look awesome. I love how they look. How the target identification looks. It looks amazing. But yeah, I can definitely see, I just get flashbacks to Battlefield 3. Like the thermals that were running wild in that game at one point were just out of everyone was running the thermals and the infrareds. They look awesome. Like those shots you're showing look amazing. So
yeah, they look really
hopefully they'll do something to balance it. That's where I think there needs to be some sort of restrictions with that plus system. But
yeah, maybe it takes out how many optics you can have in your plus system, or it just has like really trashy ADS or something to make it, because it could be really strong. People are using smokes to try to push.
Right.
They're adding the APS to help out tanks a little bit. Below radar, you can fly below 30 meters and fly below people's radar, which is pretty cool. They're adding a lot of OG weapons. Pretty Mixed feelings about this. It's really good that they're getting new content, but it feels like a cop out because it feels like content they should be adding to Portal anyway. And the other thing that's kind of sad is there's no weapon proficiency stuff, so you can't go for like mastery tiers and tier ones and stuff with these weapons. So there's no progression with them. So that's kind of a bummer. I mean, unlocking attachments, but you don't have the
I don't.
progression that you have with the other ones, which is kind of a bummer for some people.
Were these ones already in Portal, or are these are newly added weapons overall?
They're
Right?
newly added, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Okay.
You can
That's what I
roast me in
thought.
the comments. If not, I was supposed to cover this game in depth, but you can just tell me that I suck. But what, I think
I
they're
think
new.
you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I don't remember
They're new
these in the
old.
Portal. New
And
old,
then
yeah.
Battlefield Portal, they're adding the toggles. I just saw from a developer on Twitter, they're adding the changes where you can do the class system in your Portal experiences and toggle that stuff, the different ways they play. And you can
Okay.
toggle on and off the weapon proficiency, so how they deal with weapons. But there's a
Nice.
just a massive load of changes. Oh, the other controversial thing was the tracer dart gun. So launchers can now lock onto the tracer dart when shot into environmental objects. So it used to be able to only, like, how it would normally work is if you shot onto a vehicle, you could lock on. But now it can be locked on to environmental objects. So that's going to be super strong with Javelin. There's a clip of Jack Frags floating around where there were some snipers up on a tower. It hit it with the tracer dart and dropped a Javelin on them. A lot of folks that play the game quite a bit are worried about people cheesing this. I would say the only thing that's going to save you is a lot of people can't get on the same squad together to cheese it. So, and nobody uses Void because they didn't have it at launch. So that's like the only saving grace. But yeah, I could see it being really cheesed if you could have somebody with a support box dropping ammo and people just dropping tracer darts on objectives. And yeah, people are worried about it being cheesed. So we'll have to see. They might have to make changes to that. Lower the damage to soldiers or something maybe, or the splash damage.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's always kind of been a problem in Battlefield. So as long as they make usually everything's overpowered at the beginning, but as long as DICE on top of it, makes those tweaks, and you don't have broken stuff for months, it shouldn't be a huge problem. Just a matter of how hands-on are they going to be with this content,
Yep. So yeah, just an absolutely metric buttload of content. And not content. It's not content. Changes coming to the game. Sorry.
Changes.
Freudian slip. I wish there was content coming to the game. So yeah, that covers that. I'll probably have more on it next week. We'll probably talk about it just a little bit next week because I want to check it out. I want to check it out and see how it makes people play. If it's the thing I'm worried about with the classes, and I'll just sum it up with this. I'm worried about it living in a weird middle ground where not everyone's happy. So like the Battlefield purists, probably like myself, the Battlefield truthers are like, I want a class system with nameless soldiers, nameless faceless soldiers.
Yep.
And then you have the people that enjoy the specialists, wherever you are. So this is taking away flexibility, which a lot of Battlefield 2042 players like. So it's taking away some of that flexibility they enjoyed. But then it's not quite a true class system with still having the specialists and their gadgets and their proficiencies and stuff. So it's like, it's this weird middle ground. And I'm worried that it'll upset the people playing the game, and it'll upset kind of class peers because it's not a full out class. The specialists are still there. At the same time, it takes the flexibilities away from the specialists, which was supposedly one of their big selling points. So I worried it finds itself in this weird middle ground that doesn't make anyone happy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to be interesting, and I think this is all just like you said. They're trying to fit something into the game that the game was not even designed around. I for one, as we've talked about, want those nameless, faceless soldiers. If you want the different cosmetics for the specialists, I think there's no reason not to have the cosmetics for them there. But as we've discussed, I think there's just definitely an issue with that specialist system and not being restricted to a certain play style per class, because then you have, like, Battlefield Friends does a great job of it. Like, oh, everyone's got health, but no one's got ammo. It's just like that everyone's got a rocket launcher. And that was annoying to me in the beginning. Just like, you're in a chopper and everyone's locking on you, or no one's locking on you, or no one has ammo, no one has health, stuff like that. So there's no role to play there. It's just kind of lone, do your thing. So we'll have to see. I mean, I'm not playing this game anymore, so I'm curious what yourself and others who are playing it, have to say about it after the update goes out and get some hands-on time with it.
Yeah, I need to give it a good college try, give it enough time. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I'm still not okay with the lack of content, man. It's
Uh, yeah,
bullshit.
it's pretty crazy, man. Um, how many new
At
maps at this point? Three new maps?
3, yeah, it's gonna end up being 4, and then allegedly there's like a remastered, weathered, aged previous Battlefield classic map coming for like their season 5, and I feel like it's gonna be um a lot like what they did with Battlefield 5, like adding one map on the way out the door saying thanks for playing. And it's going to end up being 5 total maps. Dude, I just looked at, like, I was curious. I looked at the Battlefield 1 Apocalypse DLC. There were like 4 massive maps, 6 new weapons, 2 new gadgets, like 2 or 3 new vehicles. Like,
Oh god.
it's like,
And how many new weapons has there been in this game? Just 3 or 4, right? It's pretty
yeah, it's
bad.
like 1 or 2 a season. So you get 1 or 2 season, and then you get a new map, and then they claim that a map rework is content. So you get a reworked map too. You get a finished map.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
I'm curious. I know Temporal reached out to me and shared some things with me, and he used me to try and figure out some of the weapons that he data mined. So
Oh, that's
I'm
cool.
not gonna. I won't say anything else as to what they are. I don't think he was holding on to that information, but there was a good amount in there that's like new stuff. Just a matter of if they. I feel like that's something they'll push all that out the door as soon as they're about ready to go hands off with the game. So, but of those weapons, if those are weapons that all come, I mean that's awesome. It's a great list. Just a matter of it's like why, man, it's kind of a bummer. Like it took that long to get that type of content into the game if that does end up coming to fruition. So we'll have to see what they do with that. I'm definitely watching to see where this game goes, and as we've discussed, I hope they take a lot of these lessons learned and actually have a proper retrospective before making the next Battlefield.
Yep. Totally, totally agree. Um, yeah. I guess the only thing I'll say on the way out the door with Battlefield is at least they understand maybe now that classes are really important. I don't know how they didn't before, but maybe now I mean, they're putting that back in. So that's good.
And I think that's like we said. I think it's probably like an upper management type decision, right? I don't think anyone at DICE probably actively agreed with that,
Yep.
or at least if they couldn't say that though. But I don't
Pretty
think anyone
much.
was like, this is a great idea. Like Lars Gustav, who's been working on the game for like 20 years, was probably just like, he wasn't first in line. Like, this is awesome, great idea.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it. So yeah, let's move on. We've got a couple more stories yet, then a couple quick shots. Shouldn't be too much longer. Not gonna spend a ton of time on these because I'm not super well versed in these games, but let's talk about Tarkov just a little bit because what
Nice.
they did is massive. Another example of people listening, of developers listening to the community, and it was cool to see. The Tarkov community is a very vocal bunch. They will talk and argue, and they're very passionate about their game.
One thing I will say though is when it comes to the Tarkov community, they provide like hard data points for their gripes versus other gaming communities, which are just like, this sucks, blah blah blah. Like the Tarkov, sure you're gonna bring it up like Veritas's video and
Veritas,
others.
yeah.
I was like, and he gets super in depth. He's like, this sound used to be 6.2 decibels and now it's and
Yeah.
you're just like, you can't argue with facts, right? It's
No,
like
that
completely
guy,
different than any other community.
dude, I wish I had the patience and the brain power to make videos as in depth as his. They're so awesome. Like they're so well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, it's a lot of editing right there.
Sometimes I watch his videos and it makes me just want to quit YouTube. So I'm like, I am never gonna be able to do what that guy does. So, but it's pretty cool. So essentially, what happened? Quick rundown, if you guys do not know, Veritas, he's a pillar of the Tarkov community. Controversial at times with his interactions with the community, I would say. But you can't argue with his videos, his content, and his points of view are always backed up by very well thought out points. And what he did was he made a video talking about kind of how far Tarkov has strayed from what it used to be, why, and how it used to play a lot better in the old days with a little bit faster movement. Armor felt a little bit better. Recoil was easier to control. It made the gunfights better, less RNG. Made a video. A ton of people got behind it. And one morning, Battlestate Games tweeted these things out. Essentially based on that video and the overwhelming support it got. It got a ton of views. It got a ton of reactions from other streamers. And overall, it was overwhelmingly positive. They reduced the recoil angle for all weapons. They reduced the stamina penalty when hit by any type of ammo. They increased the weight limit while overweight. Thank the Lord. That affects me, and I don't play this game too often. I have been playing it a few times a week, though. I stay in there. Reduced the stamina consumption in various cases, decreased energy and water consumption, which is awesome, and greatly reduced penalties from armored rigs and body armor. So essentially, they backed off. What happened was, what I feel like happened was they tried to make things a little bit too hardcore and too realistic, and they pushed the slider so far it became unrealistic and not fun. And Veritas's video was kind of eye-opening, saying, I can go, 20 minutes. Like, the realism argument isn't valid here. Even though you're trying to make the game harder to play, you're making it more tedious. Like, I can go longer than 30 minutes without drinking water. Like, why can't my PMC? Like, some of this stuff was really silly. He showed old gunfights with less recoil. It's more about skill and movement. The overweight stuff was silly because he talked about it's a game where you loot, but you get punished for looting. Like, if you pick up stuff that you need as an early on player, when that loot is more important when you're an early player, you can't move. And it just some of the gameplay decisions don't make sense with the overall concept of the game and even Nikita's vision with the game. So he made that huge changes to Tarkov. So if you haven't played it in a while because of how it felt this wipe, it might be worth checking out. I've just been running around on woods and shoreline and customs, the OG maps, and kind of fiddling around and picking up some stuff. But it's felt better. They still have a long ways to go with the audio this wipe. I'll tell you that. It's weird.
Yeah, that's something they haven't addressed yet, but I do just want to kind of add a little bit more clarity to the recoil issue, because Veritas covered it, but others got really in depth with it also, I think before or after Veritas's video. And there was hard evidence that there was a general problem with the weapon recoil, because basically what it was, if you have a rifle, it was your weapon on full auto was operating as if there was no buttstock. So essentially you're just shooting with no buttstock the way the recoil would operate. And they compared that to how it was pre 12.1 wipe. I think it was one of those ones that is like in 2021, whatever wipe, 12.1, 12.3, I think it was. So when they made those recoil changes, essentially there was a problem that there's more than enough evidence that people pointed out, is that you were basically firing a full auto like AK, for example, and the weapon stats and handling is as if there's no buttstock on your shoulder, is how it bounces all over the place. So it just became not only almost to a point of too realistic, but there was definitely a substantial issue that happened with that patch that hadn't been fixed. So I'm not sure. I haven't looked at some of those channels since to see if that itself was reverted or the changes they did were enough. But that was definitely something that a lot of people had shown evidence, that more than enough evidence that was a problem.
It was pretty cool. Veritas and those other folks showed actual clips of people shooting full auto that it wasn't even close to how Tarkov was. And then that one was crazy when he talked about he had a big Veritas had a big problem, and rightfully so in my opinion, about how if you get shot you just lose all your stamina. And a lot of, I'll call them realism Andes, would say that, oh, if you got shot you're not going to be able to move or whatever. And then he had an actual special ops shoulder on there that got shot by a PKM 3 times and was so hopped up on adrenaline he ran across the street to get the cover, and said, look, this guy was actually shot if you want to go down the realism road. And he was able to, the adrenaline kept the pain down, gave him enough energy to get across the street to safety. And then the pain set in, and then it was unbearable and stuff like that. So that was really cool. He just covered the argument from all sides about how some of the things were silly, and it was just really well done. And it's crazy that they listened to almost everything and changed it back. and it plays better. Because I remember as a new player, you'd walk around with any kind of gun, and you know your strength is low and your proficiencies with the weapons are so low. I was just scared to get in a fight because I can't get my gun on anybody. Like I shoot once and it's over, and it's
all
just kind
over
of
the
hard.
place. Yeah.
And now I have a little bit more confidence, and I think it makes PvP a lot more fun. So I'm interested to keep playing it a little bit more and see how the community reacts with these changes, and if it kind of gets back to that old Tarkov of those, because those long drawn out fights in Tarkov are it, man. Like they're so good.
Yeah, that's what I loved about it back, and I remember it's crazy because I remember when that wipe happened, the 12-1 or 12-3, and that's when I stopped really having a lot of fun with it. And I didn't really put two and two together at the time with the recoil changes, but I'm curious. I'm sure that had something to do with it, because prior to that, like the gunfights were so fun, and then just something definitely changed. So I'm glad they listened. And I think I'm curious if part of the reason why they listened and made those changes is because of just how bad this patch and wipe have been so far as like stability and everything. So this probably seemed like a sensible, we need to give the community something here.
I'm gonna lower my desk for the quick shots.
Okay.
Is the stream gonna go offline? My feet are tired.
See.
Whoa, this is crazy. Hope it's not like
there it goes.
Is it making a noise?
I don't hear it now.
Oh, nice. So I can sit down. Come on.
There it goes.
Come on down.
Go.
Come on down.
Go.
Guys. Yeah, welcome in. Come on. Come on in. Yeah, my feet were dying. I'm old. So yeah, Tarkov's a lot different now. I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna play it a little more. I'll check back in with you. I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
Are you ready for a few quick shots?
Of course, I am. That's what I'm here for, man.
All right, here we go. In the first quick shot, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a little bit about this one's kind of amusing from the week that I saw. Did you see the developer direct? There wasn't a lot on there for shooter fans for Xbox. They showed Redfall gameplay, a game that I was like, every once in a while I see a story type shooter and I'm like, man, I want to get in on this. Like, I'm going to finally commit to playing a story shooter, and I'm going to get into it. And it was an Arcane Studios game, so I was like, this is going to be sweet. That extended gameplay did not do it any favors, in my opinion. It looked so clunky. I feel like maybe I'm making this up, but I felt like the graphics were worse, and the movement and the combat just looked really clunky. I don't know if it was the person playing it for the capture of the gameplay, but dude, did you see it?
I did not. No.
It didn't look good. I don't know if anybody in chat saw it or whatever, but the game premise looks kind of neat. I'm not necessarily usually into like fantasy or horror or stuff like that, but some of like the adaptations you can do to the guns look kind of silly. I don't know. It just looked cool, and I was a little bit excited for it. It's like a game that like I would try. Like I would maybe try to pick it up on sale a couple weeks later and get into it a little bit, because it looks like a really big open world, and maybe you could get into the story a little bit, but dude, I don't think it did it any favors. Like the stuff looked clunky. I really don't have any news to go along with that. I guess it's just something I saw. You guys can check it out. Check out the extra gameplay on the IGN channel for what they showed when they talked about it during the developer direct. Yeah, this might be something I try with Game Pass or something like that, because it was a little bit rough.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I didn't see it. I'm looking at what's in the background here, but I'll have to go check it out after and see.
Yeah, and just like the graphics looked like it was one of the selling points for me from the first trailers, and it just looks like a big downgrade. But that might be the difference from like pre-rendered stuff to actual gameplay. That's probably the difference there. But it was a little bit jarring. So in the next, I know you've been dying to talk about the day before drama.
This is crazy.
Just a little bit. Crazy. This stuff is wild. I'm sure we'll just kind of talk about it and react to it a little bit. And you guys in chat can let us know what you guys think of this. But dude, it's been a crazy amount of drama with the day before. We didn't really make any videos because I knew we'd essentially talk about it on here. But dude, the day before said they were going to release gameplay, and then they didn't do it. because of a copyright problem. So apparently they only decided recently to get their copyright this month, like January, right? Just a couple weeks ago they filed for it. Someone else already had it and told them to remove it from Steam. Originally saw when it was removed from Steam. People were like, what's going on? They said the thing that really screwed this whole thing up and said even more, like if it's even possible for more red flags with this game, they're like, it's just because of Steam maintenance. It happens all the time. Like games don't get like the second most wishlisted game on Steam, like doesn't get just removed. And they said it was just a Steam problem at first. And then they came back and said, oh, wait, no, it's just copyright issues. So then for some reason, even though, and they said they did some really cringy tweets about how they're like a 90s superhero that no one believes in, and they're going to come through and win the day and win everybody over. It's like, if you really wanted to win everybody over, that gameplay that you were going to show, somehow you magically can't show it because your copyright didn't work out. Just get rid of all the name stuff on it and show the gameplay.
Yeah,
right.
It's super sketchy, man. I don't think the game exists.
And there's a lot of people that like support the game, if it even is called such a thing. Like they haven't taken any money from you. Like why are you being like this? It's like they've taken money from some people. They had in their devlog, they had the product spot for the IBM ThinkPad, so somebody paid for that. They're in some kind of partnership with NVIDIA. I'm not sure how that's going to go down. And then they've been caught like several times promoting other software that they make within their trailers. So they have all this exposure and they're using it to promote other things and get business deals with other things and create all this controversy. Just the whole thing shady, from the cringy, weird videos that they put out to just their unwillingness to show gameplay. And the copyright thing made it delay another 9 months, which everybody knew was coming. A delay of some kind with some kind of reason.
All the way till November, because they can't just simply change the name quickly. So we got to delay it. But it's weird because the press release they had like really was like, it had nothing to do. It sounded like the game wasn't ready, and they were using the copyright issue as like an excuse. Like, we want to take time to make sure, everything is. So basically they were saying the game's not even close to ready, but we're going to use this copyright thing that we probably knew about as an excuse.
Yeah, I don't even know if it is a game. I feel like
I don't think it is. It looks like a bunch of pre-rendered.
That's what I think.
Trailers.
It's like,
that doesn't look like gameplay.
They just took Unreal 5 engine and did a bunch of pre-rendered clips, and they're using it to promote their company that they can side hustle other products.
I think that's exactly what's happening.
That's just what it feels like.
And there's going to be another delay in November, and like due to whatever reasons we've decided that due to whatever reasons we can't release this game because of pressures from outside, blah blah blah. And it's not going to be their fault, and they're going to feel bad about it. That's kind of how I think that's how it's going to go down. It's going to be weird because all these trailers, there's been nothing that's like definitive gameplay. There's what looks like rendered gameplay, but there's no gameplay. So I think you're right. I think it's just all rendered stuff on Unreal 5 that they're using to mask as like pre-rendered gameplay or something, or no HUD gameplay, and it's not.
Yep. Yeah, Teddy says something I'd like to talk about just really quick. He says he knows Unreal 5 is the future of gaming, but it's way too demanding on hardware. It's like, how you think they're going to sell you DLSS, man? You got to come out with something that runs natively at like 10 frames a second, and then buy the latest NVIDIA and AMD cards to AI upscale it like 3 different ways so you can get like 60 frames. That's the future of gaming right there. AI upscaling. That's how you fix everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't even know if this is going to get to release. Like I
don't think so.
It's going to be interesting to watch. And that's the crazy thing. Like, I know I'm like in the camp where it's definitely like, either way you slice it, it's sketchy. Like if you're not asking questions, like you should maybe like check yourself just a little bit, because there's some weird stuff. Like either way, I'm not giving them any money. I'm eating my popcorn and going to see how this plays out. Like whatever. And if it comes out with a game, if it comes out and it's an actual fully fleshed out game and it's good, then I'll play it. But it's just so weird. This has been the weirdest lead up to a popular game that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, getting removed from Steam like that is a huge, another huge red flag in a line of red flags. But again, like I guess my question would be, and I hadn't been following it that closely till recently, but it's like, what evidence is there that the game's real, right? That it's not just pre-rendered footage. I don't think there is any. I mean, can anybody point me to actual legitimate gameplay? I don't, not that I've seen, right?
No, there hasn't been any raw stuff. Just
Yeah,
stuff somebody played. It's all been like pre-rendered, pre-recorded,
yeah.
like
So,
quote unquote
so
gameplay.
it's kind of crazy that at this point there's literally no evidence that this is a real game.
Yep. So yeah, and then even if it is a game, their monetization is going to be something pretty cool. I bet.
I think if the game does come out, it's gonna be drastically different from what we see here in a bad way.
Yeah, I could see that. So in the final quick shot, I wanted to talk about friend of the program, Auntie, and the Road to Vostok. He did a new dev blog last week. I'm gonna have to kind of, again, I'm old. All right, my brain. Bear with me, guys. I'm gonna have to kind of scrub through this to remember what all was in here. But there was some really cool footage in this dev blog that he put out. Again, just killing it. Keeping to his schedule, keeping everything going. But it shows a little bit of what's going on with the map. He talks about stuff at the beginning. The first thing he talks about is the map expansion. 2 times the map size. He does a terrain update with like new details and stuff, and it just looks awesome. And guys, this is a real game. And you can go play the demo on Steam and check it out and see how it feels and see how it looks and see how it runs on your machine. It runs freaking awesome. Yeah. And,
That's kind of says all you need to know about the day before, I think. There's already been a demo for this, and what we've seen from a single developer versus that, pretty night and day.
Yep. And I remember he talked about where, you know, when he was on the show, he talked about how he won that contest in Finland for like upstarting businesses and stuff. And he was using that money to hire a few freelancers for weapon audio and weapon animations and modeling, I feel like. So he's going to up those even more. There's the water system. So when I watch this, you guys should check it out. Just type in Road to Vostok and this YouTube channel will pop up and you can look at the most recent video. It's really cool. So he talks about a new water system with depth rendering, and also shows different kinds of reflections that you can do in game. So you can see like the occlusion of the water, and when he switches it to on, it's like so cool. Like the water is like translucent until it gets deep enough to be opaque. Like it's really cool. And the reflections on the water just looks really good. And then he also goes through the shallow and deep sound effects. So it's like it sounds shallow until you get into deeper water, and then it makes like the whoosh sound of going in the water. And like the audio just like sounds super top notch. Then he's got new weapon handling. So this is all from like the last month or so. It's got new weapon handling with new like arm rigs. So this is the old one. You can see at the bottom, this is the old way. And then he shows the new way that the weapons work. He turns it on in a second. And you can see like the new weapon rig. And this is all procedural, so he'll be able to add content really fast later on. It just feels like really fluid, and the inertia is like super smooth. Then he shows there's more weapon positioning stuff. This was really cool. Yeah, I'm so glad I'm scrubbing through this and remembering some of this stuff. You can change the position of the weapon when your weapon's down. You can change the position of it on your screen. So it's like you can have more of your weapon showing if you want to check that out, or you can kind of get it lower and out of your way, like however you want. If you want to be like kind of play more immersive or whatever and have it kind of at the ready, or if you want to, you know, be able to see that map a little bit better, you can move it like depending on how you want to play. So I thought that was really cool. And then he shows attachments and how they work, weapon condition, like some of the new attachments he's been adding look super good. The suppressors and stuff sound really cool. And just shows the attachment systems. And then he talks about audio upgrades, calibrate sound effects, and demos some of those. We can't play the audio because obviously he couldn't hear us, and he just loved listening to us. He also did a new recoil system. So it coincidentally enough, it really looks like the Tarkov weapon changes. It's not near as severe. It shows even with compensation, it's bouncing all over the place. And this is the old recoil system, like trying to hold the weapon down. There's just so much random movement. And then he goes to the new one, and it's just so much easier to control. This is with no compensation, just letting it go. And then he shows a clip where he does hold that down, and it looks just a lot less random and manageable. It's still like a hardcore mechanic. It's not like a laser beam like COD or whatever, but it definitely is. And he's just showing different shots of it at like medium range and stuff like that. Just the way the weapons move is so cool. Talks a little bit more about character sleeves and how he animates or how he textures the models and things like that. How the new rig of the arm. Then he shows the new resources, wells, where in game you can collect water and you can collect fuel resources. So these are what the wells look like, and then the water. And then he shows the global snow and winter mode. So he added snow, and he showed this at the end, and I was hyped, dude. He showed snow at the end, and like the sound effect crunching through the snow was like super cool. Like it looks crazy.
Yeah, it sounded amazing for sure.
So yeah, added snow. That's what it looks like. With that, so just killing it. It was a new dev blog. There was a lot of interesting stuff in there. We've been following the game, so I wanted to talk about it just a little bit. Keep covering the game because it's really cool. It's such a unique game, and one person just keeping to schedule and killing it. Cool.
And you got a hammer sight there, so big win. That's all I need.
The loophole.
Yep.
But
sold.
Yeah.
Take my money.
Shout out, Auntie, killing it, man. I think that's all I had, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Can we mention really quick while people, if you guys have Q&A you want to throw it, I gotta go over. I know we didn't prepare for this, but I commented on a little bit. There was a streamer that got had to issue an apology video because he got caught on stream with like a window open looking at deep fake porn of other
find it
of like female streamers like Pokemon and others. So it's like deep fake porn where it like deep fakes these notable female streamers' faces onto, you know, other bodies. And I guess he had like there was like a shot of that tab opened when he tabbed to like his desktop view at one point, and he had this like apology video with his girlfriend or wife sitting behind him crying, and he's crying, and it's like, holy, I just thought that was really weird, man, that we're making apology videos for looking at porn. I mean, if you want to look at porn, look at porn. I don't know, everyone looks at porn. And this dude's just, this guy's crying, his wife's crying. It was something that I didn't think I'd ever see on the internet. And I listened to like 2 seconds of his apology and watched him like, and his wife's in the back crying, and I was like, yeah, I can't watch this.
It was a little.
I don't know what's happening.
It was a little over the top. Like,
yeah,
I think he was like embarrassed about it, like Redbeard says.
Yeah,
it was just weird. Like, this is making way bigger deal about it than it should be. Like, this is more like an apology, like if you like cheated on your girlfriend or your wife or something like really bad, or said something that you shouldn't have or something like that. Like, it was a little, I was like, this guy must have done something really bad. And then I looked into it and I read the thing. I'm like, huh, okay, well, I mean, it probably is embarrassing. Like, but it's wild. Tom Henderson had the best reply to this. I don't know if you saw his reply. He summed it up perfectly. He said, the term Twitch streamer is the new Florida man. Like, every week there's just weird stuff with Twitch streamers, like weird stuff that it's like Bizarro world. I saw this and I was like, that's enough internet for today. Like,
it was so strange, man. Like, you know, everyone has looked at porn at one point or another in their life.
Did you see?
I can see it being embarrassing if like you're caught on stream with it, but you know, that it seemed like an over the top apology video. But
it's a pretty common thing.
It was just weird. I just thought it was interesting because I'm scrolling through my feed and I saw Tom Henderson's thing, and then there was like some other Twitch female in a bikini like talking about just a bunch of stupid stuff, and I was like, this stuff's okay, but you know, people are getting banned from Twitch for like crazy things, like minor things, and then girls are just like basically naked, and it's fine.
Did you see did you see the Mr. Beast cured 1,000 people's blindness in his video.
Yeah, he paid for their surgery. That's epic. And I do see some things on Twitter, like people are upset about that, which I'm just like kind of out of touch with a lot of
I
the
don't get
weird
that,
news
yeah.
that goes on Twitter. People are like upset, and I don't get it. But no, that's freaking awesome, dude. That's great. Like,
I've caught myself doing that. Like, just I call people weird. I'm like, if you're upset about this, like that's just weird. You're weird. Like that's
yeah,
not like doing good with your money is so cool. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome. Good for him. That's great.
Some of
That's
the
what we need more of that stuff, right? We need more of
yeah, no
that stuff
kidding.
and less hot tub streams and deep fake porn apologies.
Yeah, 50 million views in the first day or
So
in 2
cool.
days. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's awesome.
That's really cool. And hopefully it maybe brings awareness to something that, you know, maybe if this is halfway affordable for some families, maybe we can get some people and that'd be like a good charity. Like to have your money go to somebody so they can see, like
Yeah.
that would be such a great charity for more well-off people, like for philanthropists to do with their money. That's such a great cause, and I hope it brings awareness to it. That's so cool.
Yeah, and I do. Okay, so some people in the chat are bringing up why some people are upset about it because he made a video and like that's content. And if we heard about it from a third party like outlet and not his video, it would have been a little different. Yeah, I get that. But I don't know. I guess I can't really look at it either way. At the end of the day, you know, he paid for all that surgery. So I think if he wants to make a video, let's be honest, if he didn't make the video, he's still making a stupid amount of money and having followers. So I don't think it does anything for him, you know, one way or the other. But yeah, I can see why people may be upset about that.
Yeah,
But I personally don't have a huge problem with it.
I guess I do see that. He's kind of using him as a prop or whatever. But if
I can see that.
But if it raises more money and he can do more good things with
And
it,
awareness, yeah,
and I think the awareness too. I had no idea that you could do a surgery to folks with like a certain condition of blindness, and they could see. Like I had no clue that was even a thing. So like, yeah,
when I haven't watched it,
when I'm rich one day,
yeah,
that's what I'll donate to.
Everyone in here is getting robot eyes down the road. Just wait.
With toggle on off aimbot with foot pedal. No problem. Yeah, I guess it could also probably be turned into a government debate, like if the government should pay for that or whatever. And I don't know. I would rather see private people be able to pay for it and donate to it and pay for it. But at the same time, it's like that's a lot better than what the government does with some of our other money. So you could probably
right.
like some of the stuff they spend it on, that would be much better off to cure people's blindness than what they do with it.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, right? If that's something that could be happening. If I didn't watch the video, I haven't seen the thumbnail.
Same. I haven't either.
If they were, I don't think they were like fully blind. I think they had. I don't know what it was, so I won't comment. But I'll have to go watch it.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express now.
Those shower heads, man.
Yeah, but I think if that is something that is available, and if it regardless of the intent, I think ultimately it's going to raise awareness. Maybe that is the question that comes out of this: is how come this isn't? If these people are pretty much blind and have the ability to see again through surgery, why isn't that happening?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, when we're spending like gazillions of dollars on the military industrial complex and taxes, why aren't we getting at least this basic gift of being able to see again back for some of these people? It's a bit of a problem in my personal opinion, but hopefully it raises awareness. Maybe they'll bring in more charities to help fund these things going forward. And this is something that maybe the foundation can be set up. Maybe that's the long-term goal there. So we'll have to wait and see.
And maybe it'll get more conversations like what we're having. You know, maybe a few less tanks get sent overseas, and maybe some more people in America get to see. Like,
yeah, it definitely raises some questions, right?
Hope we get to people doing research.
Yeah, good talking and asking questions is always good. So I agree.
But yeah, we're not a big political show.
Maybe we'll have a special episode.
Political. Oh, dude, I don't even want to. just the general like debating politics is so scuffed with like the two-party system, because if you it's like if you feel one way about an issue, the somebody else will just immediately put you in a bin with all the other people with this set beliefs, and that's you. Like you're that person. Like you can't like have your own combination of thoughts on issues. Like if you're like one main issue, like you're that person. You're on that team and you're that way for everything. Like it's like you just can't have a conversation about it. That's why it's not worth talking about half the time.
Right. I was like super invested in college, and then I just kind
Same.
of like stopped caring because you realize really there's nothing you can do. I think Jesse Ventura has some good content out there. I always enjoyed at least reading his books to get an opinion. You know, there's no one needs to agree with anybody, but I think it's kind of foolish if you don't at least look at every single side of it and educate yourself.
He did some weird stuff later on.
Yeah. Everyone does some weird stuff, right?
Apparently. Jeez, Twitch streamers out here. But yeah, it's
Hot Tub Stream 1. Hot Tub Stream 1 crash.
I'm not doing that. I mean, I could do that, but I would probably get banned. Like it would be like gruesome and unusual content. Yeah.
I don't know, man. All the girls are getting away with it.
Yeah. There's a reason for that. It's the reason that giant fat guys aren't on there like me. It would get mass reported, and I'd get shadow banned just like in COD.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
But no, I don't think I have anything else. That was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. We had a lot to talk about, a lot going on. Sometimes I feel like I'm like a little bit, I don't know. Am I like an entitled like loser? Because I feel like FPS is like stale, and I feel like it gets stale so fast, and it's like I need more content. Like I'm always wanting more content. I don't know if that's
I think it's
I'm
also
a bad person, or if that's
well, you and I are also coming from like a different time of gaming, and now everything's like live service, immediate this, immediate that. And I think the delivery and payoff of that is much less than what we received back in my opinion. Like the heyday of FPS was like 2010 to 2012. I thought was maybe potentially even 2013, but like that 2011, 2012 was like the golden time right there. That was, and I think you compare content to the live services now, it's pretty night and day. I think it speaks for itself. So it's really like, do you want to pay more money for more, in my opinion, good content, or do you want to pay less money for some content, maybe some reworks?
Yeah.
So difference of, I guess, generations of gaming. The future of game is just going in a very different spot from where we're used to. So yeah, I agree with you though. I need the hours I could sink into Battlefield 3, like night and just like I played that game, even Battlefield 4, I played for like 7 years straight. It's the only game I played. So
yeah, dude. Well, just real quick, like this is what I looked at and I almost cried. So I had kind of forgot like how these were, how these DLCs were. Look at this, man. Here is the Apocalypse DLC from Battlefield 1. This is the last one. You get Passchendaele, Caporetto. This was a super fun map. Passchendaele was like one of the last maps, but it was like, dude, it was so immersive. Just shitty World War I. Mud, fire, ash, like just a gritty disaster of a map.
That's what I loved about Battlefield 1. It was like, especially those DLCs, you're right. It was just gritty and dirty. You felt like you were in World War I in some instances, which is what made it great. It's very immersive. Battlefield has always been immersive until recently, and this is a prime example.
I continuing on to show you what we used to get content wise. The River Somme, that's a new map. Oh, cool, we get 3 new maps. No, but wait, there's more. There's some aerial maps. You get Razor's Edge and London Calling. For those of you playing at home, that's 5 maps. Okay. And then you go down here, you get new melee weapons, 6 new firearms. All right. Not 2 remastered ones, 6 new firearms, new gadgets, the new aircraft, and new stationary weapons, new game modes, new assignments, new specialization type, new unlocks, and that was one of the 4 DLCs.
Damn.
That's what it used to be, man. It's like
What a time.
such a fucking letdown, man. When you get a new season, it's like,
What a time.
you used to look at these and then you watch this trailer. It's like, yeah, I get so amped. I get so amped. Like,
all these old trailers. Yeah, look at this. Like these trailers used to give you chills, man. You'd be like, I need to play it now.
yeah. Yep. So that's where we're at now. Now you get one map, you get a weapon or two. Oh, a new battle pass. Pretty cool. And you get a reworked map that, these maps were finished when they released.
Yeah.
Damn it, man.
Gonna throw some boxes and some bushes.
The wine bottle and the meat cleaver melee weapons, dude. Oh, that Caporetto map had such cool lighting. I remember like the Prize D to her and the Neville Knights, like the night maps in this game look so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes like the visibility was a little rough, but like just the feel and look of the game was like something else, man.
Yeah, the visuals, the environment, even like dude, the music was so good in Battlefield 1. Like there's a specific menu song I still listen to today. This is just great. And then that's the 2042 music is like nails on a chalkboard.
It's weird. It's weird.
It is. It used to be good. Back in the day.
I don't know how I can make content to like try to remind people that that's how crazy much more, like that's the crazy amount of content we used to get. Like that's what
it's almost like you got to go through like a full, like compare all of Battlefield 1 to 2042 or all of Battlefield 3 or any of those. Like take your pick of any Battlefield game and compare it. Even the PlayStation exclusives, I think, or console exclusives, the Bad Company series had more content than 2042, which is just wild.
Yep.
Just think about that for a second.
So yeah, guys, I guess on that depressing note, we just made everybody really sad in the episode. That's nice. Yeah, this will be up. Hopefully I can get it up tomorrow on the podcast platforms, depending on how brutal my tooth fixing is. Oh god. Depending on how that goes, we'll get that out, and then it'll go up on the scope if you want an edited version. I've just been leaving them up on this channel too, so if you want to keep watching them here, if you join late, want to scroll back to the start, you can watch it here. Just been doing that, and then yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. I feel like this is kind of therapeutic for Buff and I just to talk about video games. It's kind of fun.
How good it used to be, especially.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to hang out, and the fact that people show up to watch is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Ryan's having a good time. All right, guys. Have a great on that note.
Too good of a time. Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. Appreciate it. And we'll have a lot of new good stuff for the show next week because we have like blog posts, Battlefield stuff coming out this week. So next week should definitely be a really good show.
Yep, it'll be fun. We'll have a lot of stuff. I'll try to check out Tarkov. I'll try to check out the 2042 update, and we'll try to get stuff going on. Ryan, you need to relax, and we'll talk to you guys next week.